Good evening. I call to order this regular meeting of the Verona Township Council for Monday, the 8th of April, 2024. Madam Clerk, would you please read the Open Public Meetings Act compliance statements?
Notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied with respect to this meeting of the Township Council. Meeting time and date were included in the public meeting notice along with the public internet link and telephone call-in information. Said notice and meeting agenda was posted in the municipal building, sent to the official newspapers of the Township, the Verona New York Times, and the Star Ledger, these 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and public handouts can be viewed online at veronanj.org/council meetings. Public comment period will be held in the order it's listed on the meeting agenda. Instructions on how to comment will be provided at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Holly? Here. Councilwoman McGrath?
Here.
Deputy Mayor?
Here.
Mayor Tamburo?
Here.
Mayor also on the meeting is Township Manager Jody Arco, Township Attorney Brian Aloya, Deputy Township Manager Kevin O'Sullivan, myself, Municipal Clerk Jennifer Kieran.
And our CFO.
And our CFO Jim is here.
Is there?
Sorry.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Please stand for the pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With my mayor's report. So as most folks know at this point, the OLL community in its 100th anniversary year suffered an arson hate crime this past Thursday morning. Criminal acts are repugnant to the values and spirit of our town. An attack on OLL is truly an attack on Verona as a whole. The prayers with the OLL community is to both repair the sanctuary, which is in process, and process the deeply violating nature of the horrible acts that they suffered. Thank you to the Verona Police Department, the Verona Fire Department, Verona Rescue Squad for their very quick, very effective response to the fire. Appreciation further goes to the Cedar Grove, Montclair, and Caldwell Fire Departments for assisting at the scene. Special thank you to the Verona Fire Prevention Bureau, whose fire investigator did a good portion of that investigation, the Verona Police Department Detective Bureau, the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, and our federal partners at the FBI and the ATF for assisting with the investigation as well. I reached out to and stayed in contact with Father Peter last week. I'm appreciative to Essex County Prosecutor Ted Stevens, who was receptive to my call about the security of OLL and the town as a whole. Prosecutor Stevens attended Sunday Mass at OLL with Chief of Detectives Mitchell McGuire and several assistant prosecutors and detectives on Sunday. I'd like to thank also Senator Kristen Corrado, Assemblyman Krista Phillips, Assemblyman Al Barlas, Police Chief Chris Kiernan, and Fire Investigator Connor McCann for showing their support as well with us at OLL at that Mass. Several of my council colleagues showed their commitment and attended other services as well. So I think that was a nice show of support by everybody. So thank you for everybody for being there. Verona is and will always be there for the church and all of our communities of faith. In other words, I had the pleasure of attending the Meet the Mayors event held by many local chambers of commerce on Friday morning. It was interesting to have 20 mayors in a room when an earthquake happened, but some left very quickly. But it was a great event. Thank you to Deputy Mayor McAvoy for attending. It was also great to see Planning Board member Jason Hyman there. So a lot of the issues had to do with affordable housing and utilities and things like that. With few exceptions, all Essex County mayors were in attendance and able to engage experts from PSC&G, from the State Assembly, from the Board of Public Utilities, and from the Commissioner of Community Affairs, the President as well. There was great conversations and the future about the future of New Jersey. The Environmental Commission will be having its Cedar Grove Grove Street Park cleanup on April 20th from 9 to 11 in the morning. They're also having a tree giveaway for Arbor Day as well. While I was unfortunately not able to attend the Clergy Council's IFTAR event last week due to a work conflict, I heard from many that it was a really meaningful evening, and I'm grateful to the Clergy Council for continuing their spirit of ecumenical community building in Verona. I was delighted when Father Jerry called to suggest this, and I hope it's something that we continue to do in the future and keep those lines open. And to that point, it was very heartening to see all the communities of faith in Verona reach out to OLL after their fire as well. I think that's a bond that we should only work on strengthening. That concludes my comments. I will call up Mr. Coltrane, our county liaison.
Mayor and council, hopefully everyone's doing well. The cherry blossoms are out in bloom. We had our 10K race yesterday, very, very well attended, 1,500 runners, and it was a super event. This coming weekend on Saturday, we have a 1 mile fun run and walk at the Prudential Concert Center, and that's on Saturday from at 10 a.m. Then we have Essex County Family Day in the Prudential Center, which is off of Park Avenue. And then Sunday, we have Balloon Fest at the Oval in the North Division from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So again, you can come to our website. Everyone should have received this in the mail. And believe me, I was through the park today. It is a great, great view of, we have over 5,000 cherry blossom trees in the county, and they just look gorgeous today. Coming along in the next few weeks, on May 4th, from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., we have the Public Works Hazardous Waste, and I will give this to the clerk. That's May 4th again, and from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then on Saturday, May 18th, we have computer and electronics, disposal of hazardous properties, computers, printers, fax machines, telephones, etc. And then we're getting into our summer season, and come June, late May, we have our fishing derby, which I will give also to the clerk, and she can post it on the website. But we're getting into the park season, and there's a lot of events happening, and hopefully everyone in town here can enjoy it and throughout the county. That is my report for this evening. Is there anything else from Mayor?
Councilwoman.
Thank you. Mr. Coltrane, I also saw that there's a women's health event or women's health fair on Wednesday, May the 8th in the afternoon, I believe starting at 1 at the Cherry Blossom Welcome Center.
Yes.
So, yeah, so that seems like a really incredible health event for women. And I believe if you scan a QR code, women can even get free mammograms.
Yes, they can.
Great.
But the health department did not give me that information today, as I asked all the directors to. But yes, you can check all this out either at the health department's website or the county executive's website. All our events are on that.
Okay.
So yes.
Right.
And there was a inquiry about a tree that fell in Verona Park, and both directors, because of yesterday's event, I could not get in touch with them today, but I'm following up on that tree coming down.
And I do want to just observe, I walked the West Essex Trail a lot, that starts at Verona High School and then goes through Cedar Grove.
I know.
There have been a lot of trees that have fallen, but I do see that they're partially taken care of. But there's also a whole part by the Cedar Grove Park that's washed out. So I do want to bring that to your attention as well.
Great.
Yes,
Thank you.
but you know it well, so.
I do know. I walk there. Anything else?
Councilman. Thank you, Jack.
Thank
Pleasure as always. Next on the list is we have a proclamation for Arbor Day, and normally we only name things when there's somebody present, but tonight where the Environmental Commission was here to give awards, but we'll give this to the Environment at the next meeting. Arbor Day is coming up, so we'll read it now. The proclamation reads, whereas in 1949, the legislature set aside the last Friday of April as Arbor Day to promote the planting of trees and encourage the protection of our forests from fires and pests to destroy the beauty and usefulness of our woodlands. Whereas half of New Jersey's total land area is fostered or tree covered, and whereas trees play an important role in the ecosystem in which we live, and trees reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil caused by wind and water, clean the air we breathe and the water we drink, reduce oxygen, provide habitats for birds and wildlife, and reduce heating and cooling costs by moderating temperature. And whereas tree planting in yards and farms and schoolyards and parks and along streets and highways creates an enduring heritage for generations that follow, in addition to providing pleasing aesthetic views along streets and properties of municipalities. And whereas Verona was named Tree City USA in 2024 for the first time since 2020, and whereas the Tree City USA award designation recognizes communities that have proven their commitment to be an effective, ongoing community forestry program that is sponsored in cooperation with the National Association of State Foresters and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Forest Service. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Dr. Christopher Tamboro, Mayor of the Township of Verona, hereby proclaim April 26, 2024 as Arbor Day and invite the residents of Verona to celebrate Arbor Day and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Be it further proclaimed that I urge all citizens to plant trees and gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. The witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause the great seal of the Township of Verona in the County of Essex, State of New Jersey, to be affixed on this 8th day of April 2020. And finally, we do have an appointment to the Historic Preservation Commission. This is a mayoral appointment because it's an alternate. So I am pleased to appoint Byron Spector. Mr. Spector is a wonderful community volunteer and very visible and present, and that will bring phenomenal insight to the Historic Preservation Commission, which of course is one of the things as a historian I'm very interested in making sure it works well. But that concludes my report, and it is time for Mr. Diarco.
Thank you, Mayor. First item is the 2024 budget resolution for the municipal budget to be read by title only. The mayor and council, as you may recall, the budget was approved by the Township Council on March 11th and subsequently advertised as required by law, this 19th edition of the Star Ledger, official newspaper of the township, along with the notice of the hearing time and location pursuant to NJSA 48:4-5 and 6. Resolution E1A allows for the 2024 budget to be read by title. I request that at this time, the council pass this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Diarco. Do I have a motion to move resolution E1A?
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilman McGrath. Is there a second?
Second.
Second is made by Councilwoman Holland. Is there any discussion on the motion? This is just to read the budget by title. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro,
Yes.
Mayor, municipal budget resolution to be read by title will be number 2024-061, passes 4-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now it's time for the public hearing and adoption of the 2020 municipal budget. Madam Clerk, would you please outline the procedure for the public hearing?
Now's the time for the public hearing on the 2024 municipal budget. Anyone wishing to address this item scheduled for the public hearing, please raise your hand by Zoom. You may raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button on your monitor. Press *9. When you are attending in person, you may approach the lectern. When you are recognized and advised that you're unmuted, please clearly state your name for the record. You have 4 minutes to address the council on the municipal budget for 2024 only. Your comments and or questions shall be limited to just these items. There can be no cross dialogue during this public hearing. After everyone wishing to speak has been heard, the public hearing will be closed, and for the municipal budget hearing, the council or administration may address your comments or no questions before the vote is called. Again, you need to only provide your name and municipality for the record. Please be advised that this meeting will be uploaded to YouTube and will not be edited for any reason. please avoid items to be easily discussed. That's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If you are in the room, please feel free to come forward to comment on the municipal budget. If you're at home, please raise your virtual hand. Hearing none, I'm going to close public comment. Close the public hearing at this point. Do members of council have any comments? Good. Yes, I will make a comment. As I think I briefly outlined previously, but I thank our administration for providing this. At times when inflation is high, because the rate of inflation is getting lower, but we're still suffering the result of the previous inflation. To keep any budget within the allocated tax levy cap is significant. And I know a lot of hard decisions have to be made, making excellent recommendations about where to increase and where to cut, and also thinking about other revenue mechanisms. So I know this process takes months to do correctly. I think you have a very good process between department heads and our CFO and our manager. Okay, so I'd like to thank you for that. And the question that we often get is, what is Verona doing to keep costs low? And the reality of it is, the budget is definitely not, it's not outpacing inflation. It hasn't. So whereas inflation costs have risen in double digits in the past few years, budgets have only risen in single digits. In addition, being very careful to make sure that any increases to fees and things like that are reasonable and rational and based on use, and really doing our best to have creative solutions. So I thank everybody for that. And for those folks that reached out to me directly, I provided some more detail on thoughts on what the council has done. But the one thing I can say about the entire council is that I believe we are all on the same page in providing a fiscally responsible budget for this municipality. Any other comments? Councilman McGrath.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I do want to thank our CFO and all of the staff on this budget. I will, this is my 5th time through the process, and I really feel that our level of transparency that we give to the public is far and above what a lot of other municipalities do. So thank you so much for producing those line-by-line analyses. In particular, I think we had a very good conversation on capital investments, and I look forward to us actually passing some ordinances to make sure we make necessary repairs to our infrastructure and buildings that are in disrepair. And then finally, like I say, every year, we really do need to focus on revenue generation. I think that's going to tie into our affordable housing conversations, which seem like we're going to have in public in May. We really need to focus on increasing our tax base along the Bloomfield Avenue and Compton properties so that we can moderate these tax increases in the long term, because our infrastructure is aging, and to replace and repair is going to cost a lot. And so we need to have that eye on the future. But I'm really excited that once again, we have a less than a 2% increase, and I will be supporting the budget this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will echo the appreciation and thanks that we give to our CFO for her really organizing this. She's the quarterback here, and it doesn't involve every other department in town. The budget meetings are very well run and explained very well. I do want to point out a couple of things on this budget. I was going to bring it up in my report, but I think this is more appropriate. Things that we should focus on. I was up at the community center this week with the high winds and nasty weather that we had. I think we should really focus on a community center roof. I know as I walked around the building, I saw some shingles on the ground. So it is in need of repair, and I think this council should be pushing that to the top of the list on what we do, for our capital repairs here. Other thing I just want to point out on here, because we have a couple of people that are interested in it, and I received phone calls on the one line item when it comes to the pickleball and tennis courts. We have a line item of $375,000 on here. I think it would be nice if we can, at least in the next couple months, give an idea of if we really plan on moving forward with this, or is this, I know this was a line item that was here because we had planned on building new ones, but the area we were gonna build them in actually turned out to be an area that we couldn't build them in. So just, maybe in the next meeting or two, or even at this meeting, if someone has an idea of what's gonna go on with that line item, if it can be explained to our residents that are interested in the new pickleball courts. But once again, thank you for all the time that is spent on this and the explanation in detail that we received.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
I will just echo the statements of my fellow council members. I mean, it was a very robust process. I think that you answered all of my questions at the time, so I don't have any further questions for you this evening. There are items in the budget that I'm not super thrilled with. There are other items that I find to be, positive. I do think it's important for us to be allocating funding toward recreation, and maybe there's not as much in there as I would have liked. But I do understand that choices need to be made, but I will continue to advocate for those projects that I think have merit. And I do appreciate the effort that the administration is taking, at least with regard to fees, to try and establish rational basis and data-driven analyses to support the fees that are posted. So thank you for your role in that, Jennifer, as well as you, Mr. Diarco, and Mr. O'Sullivan and Ms. Mascara. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Seeing no other comments from the council, I will yield back to the manager to explain the amendment resolution.
And I will yield to the CFO. It's a great team of department heads and executives. And that's what management.
Hello. And so before you have the amendment resolution, we are under state review this year again, which will not change until at least 2027 budgets. So we're under state review in reviewing the annual financial statement. There was one change in note interest that the state of New Jersey wanted us to increase, which was $1,510, which is most of the stuff you see on that page. It just changes in multiple areas, which is why the resolution, I have to show it how it changes the revenue and the appropriations and works its way through. The only other change is moving some of the health stuff from outside caps, which is where I put it, back to inside caps, and that was also state recommendation. So
So for my own edification and the public's, what does it mean to be under state review?
So we are under state review because of the COVID emergencies. Because of that, we have to continuously have our budget looked over by the state. You can opt out of that. If we were not under state review, I could do a certification and opt out of and do self-exam. But because we have the COVID emergencies, we have to be under state review.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions? Right. Do I have a motion to move resolution E1C?
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilman McGrath. I will second the motion. Discussion on E1C. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamburo.
Yes.
Mayor, E1C will be number 2024-062. It will, it's passed 4-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this point, I'll just move it. I move to adopt the 2024 municipal budget resolution item E1D. Is that a second?
I'll second.
Second is made by the deputy mayor. Is there any discussion on the adoption of the 2024 budget beyond what we have discussed thus far? There are none. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamburo.
Yes.
Now, resolution E1D, the adoption of the 2024 municipal budget We number 063, passes vote 4-0. Correct.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. You're funded for another year.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I might.
Mr. Jarrett.
The mayor and council, and mostly for the public. Now that the council has adopted the budget, including the capital budget, your staffs will be working, including the CFO, vigorously on moving all the capital budgets that are listed, and we can advise the various commissions, department heads, and public that have questions on the capital budget. They will all be in motion before the end of the year. Including pickleball.
All right. Mr. Giarco, you do the rest of your report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. My agenda outline of projects are listed. If the council has any questions that were sent to you earlier, and Deputy Manager Kevin O'Sullivan will review the details of all the projects that are in motion, so you don't have to hear it twice.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan, the highlights, please. You're getting great at the highlights.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, I'll highlight the report that I have. Water and sewer rates are effective. We are coordinating public outreach and putting a lot of information on the website. Apologize. We are kicking off a pool rate study for next pool season. More information to follow on that in the coming months. Regarding wastewater, we've heard a lot about that at the last several meetings. We have a number of projects that will be kicking off in earnest through this summer. We made some progress on some of the immediate projects, but some of the longer term projects will really start kicking off. And we will start having improvements to both the wastewater treatment plant and the collection system over the coming months. Additionally, we'll have a contract for award on tonight's agenda for a specialized consultant to help with our permit renewal. Moving on, we also have discussed residential escrow fees at prior meetings. We have an ordinance that we've discussed and it's presented for the council for consideration tonight. Regarding our water wells, we have a contractor lined up to begin. He's estimating his mobilization date April 29th for the Lynn Drive well. Fairview Avenue well will be bid. We're anticipating opening bids on June 7th. So hopefully we'll get that project under construction by midsummer as well. We've had a number of updates with stormwater projects. We've had some discussions regarding stormwater management plan. We're going to be pacing that. That'll likely be ready for adoption next year to coincide with updates the DEP is currently drafting. We've stayed in communication with DEP's Office of Blue Acres. They're going to be reaching out to a number of residents in floodways or repetitive loss properties. And we do have a few meetings coming up both on Friday and Monday of next week with neighboring municipalities regarding joint flood interests. Regarding parking meters, again, we've discussed that several times. Those new parking rates will become effective May 1st. We have them lined up for reprogramming on the actual physical meters and Park Mobile, both set to kick off on that May 1st date. And we're moving forward with new pay meter kiosks at the municipal lots. We've had some ongoing discussions with a solar consultant to review all of the municipal properties and buildings. They are fine-tuning their feasibility study. They will be coming likely in June to a mayor and council meeting to present their findings of their feasibility study. We are also we've kicked off our local government energy audit that kicked off last week. We've had a couple more in detail meetings with the consultant. They'll be performing field inspections and surveys in the coming weeks. And again, that'll be another presentation that'll be brought to the mayor and council when that audit is completed. The next item on my report is the community center playground. That project is under construction. Play equipment has been ordered. We'll be finalizing the colors for the restroom building. We'll be distributing that to the mayor and council this week so we can get that that structure ordered and into production within the coming week or 2 weeks. And we have a number of road projects that are underway. We do not yet have a paving date specifically for Derwent Avenue, but we have gotten a lot of responses back on tree plantings. So we'll be coordinating both tree plantings and paving on Derwent in the next few weeks. Hopefully by mid to late April, we'll have Derwent paved, and landscaping and tree planting should be primarily wrapping up at that point. Boston Whitney and Windermere is just underway. That project is progressing, and there have not been any issues to date, knock on wood. Moving on, there's Douglas Place there was a bid opening on April 2nd. There's a resolution to award that contract on the agenda for tonight. And the Linden Avenue design is going to be kicking off. That's one of the capital projects that that is in the 2024 capital budget. There's been a number of grant applications we've submitted. Some of them most of them we're waiting on responses for. That includes a number of applications for Everett Field. At this time, we're just holding off on advancing those discussions until we have a couple of responses on those grant applications. And there's a number of other smaller grant applications that we're continuing to work with our grant writer on.
Any questions from Mr. O'Sullivan? Councilman Grant?
Yes. So 2 things. So on pickleball, which you have in the report, the plan is to renovate at the existing site.
Right. So as was discussed earlier, there were initial concepts for new pickleball courts in another location, which would not work. But the existing location for the tennis/pickleball courts would be the new location. It's being funded through the 2024 capital budget. We will be working with Boswell to kick off those designs, and we'll be sitting down with the interested parties and the pickleball community to make sure that the design meets the needs and the expectations of those groups.
Okay, great. And then Douglas Place came in so low, the bid, that it's going to be fully funded with the grant. We won't have to contribute.
Correct. The grant award it exceeded the amount of both the bids and the design and construction management contract. So that project will be fully funded through that DOT local aid grant. We are opening up conversations with DOT to see if there's an opportunity to reprogram those funds to another road or to another open project. It's likely, but we are asking to see if we can repurpose that money.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions from Mr. O'Sullivan? Thank you, Mr. O'Sullivan. You're off the hook. Anything else, Mr. Giotto?
I should be constantly aware that all of the road projects are, the Shade Tree Commission is an integral part of those planning processes. You're in a whole new phase of life where you're involved in all the projects. Millennium, our grant writers, I believe you received their annual report previously. It's still very worthwhile to have them on board. In the next meeting, you'll see their contract on for the 2024. Other than that,
If I could just add to your report,
please.
and just mention the continuation of the work that you're doing for the funding of the emergency services complex, and
Yes.
the capital and the legislative requests.
Those applications are in, and the QPA is finishing up the professional services. I should know when on vacation. The professional services announcement, so that we'll be soliciting the firms to do these major fundraising for that facility. So we're waiting that to get put in line also.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Garrett. Okay, we're just gonna pretend the lights are not flickering for a little while. And we'll move on to council member comments. Oh, sorry. Oh, no, we do that later. Right after councilman. Okay. Deputy Mayor, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to mention that what a crazy day with the eclipse was today. So everybody will have a sore neck tomorrow, I'm sure. It was quite an interesting occurrence. So very interesting. I want to also mention the last week, our Verona Clergy Council getting together for the iftar, the interfaith iftar. The meal to break their fast at sundown for the Muslim community. It was very interesting that all the clergy got up and were discussing their differences, different ways of fasting, and it's interesting the differences and the similarities of it. I was very happy to attend it. I think it's a very nice thing for all these events when we can get everybody of every religion together in Verona and do something like this. Unfortunately, I left for a very good part at the end when they served food because I had a sustainable Verona meeting. So I can move right into that. They do Sustainable Verona is scheduling numerous upcoming events in the next couple months. On the more later on. Unfortunately, I didn't mention this last meeting, but the Proud family did do yesterday at the library an event on green burials. So if you're interested, you can reach out to the Proud family, but they did that through Sustainable. And also on April 20th at 3 p.m. at the library, one of the members are doing a Verona energy efficiency, your home efficiency. They'll be talking about light bulbs and things like that and what's best for your house. So I encourage people to attend on April 20th, also at 3 p.m. Go from there to the mayor really said it best early on. The tragedy at OLL. It's just sad that something like that would happen. I will mention it, it's where we are these days. It's just sad that we really should be looking into the mental health of individuals. And maybe that could prevent things like that that went on, the arsonist. But I do want to thank the Verona Fire Department and the other fire departments that helped out, the police departments for their, quick recovery at a very, very 3:30 in the morning, which is just response time to put it out was just fantastic. It's just unbelievable how much damage could have happened. And thank God no one got hurt. But I did reach out to Father Peter the day after. Unfortunately, I said to him he was at the event on Wednesday night. He actually drove to upstate New York and had to come back the next morning. And he cut his visit short with his mother. So he was feeling that also, that it was just a tragedy. But the community coming together for something like that is just the way Verona is. And that's the way we react to all things like this. So congratulations to the rest of the residents and the rest of the faith community in Verona for helping out. I want to also mention, as the mayor did the Meet the Mayors event on Friday, it's very interesting to get there. It's an opportunity to see other mayors, and it was the discussions on affordable housing, energy from public service. A vice president from public service was there. Representative from BPU was there. So you get insights from other towns, and it's good to interact and talk to others about what's going on in their town. But it was definitely an event they do every year. Thank you to the West Orange Chamber of Commerce for holding it, but it is sponsored by many other Chamber of Commerces and sponsored money-wise by a lot of other groups. I think PSCG is actually one of them. But it just showed in the middle, there was a whole table of public service executives there, and unfortunately, the earthquake. After about 5 minutes, they all had to get up and leave, so they had to cut the morning short because of that. But we thank them for getting there and educating us. I would like to honestly thank our deputy manager for your response to our residents on Derwent. We've been going through storm events and their backyards getting flooded because of the sewer lines being clogged, and we did camera them, found the blockage, cleared it out, and they have been contacted, been in contact, numerous residents, and I just want to commend the manager and the deputy manager for your responses to them. After the last storm last Tuesday, Wednesday, it seems like that part of the problem is solved. So I'm very happy for those residents, but It just shows you, this is what we need to fix our infrastructure, and these are the areas where we should focus some of our money in the short term. And obviously there's things in the long term that we need to take care of also. And lastly, I just want to follow up, and I know we've talked about this several times since January, February, but I just want an update on where we are as far as hiring or talking to our planner about redoing our zoning ordinance. Have there been any updates as far as a conversation with our planner? Mr. Joe, and that's.
Unfortunately, I just got back from vacation and I haven't followed up with the planner.
Thank you. You will be doing so
Yes,
for next
sir.
meeting.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
And that is all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Councilman McGrath.
Thank you. I too want to talk about the purposeful damage that was inflicted on Our Lady of the Lake Church. As many residents know, I am a member of Our Lady of the Lake. My children have celebrated, my family celebrated many important moments there. One of my sons was baptized there. They both made their first Holy Communions there. One of my sons was confirmed there. I've been in that church many, many times, and like many residents, I am very unsettled that this has occurred. And I am looking, like everyone here, for assurances that our community will be protected from this ever happening again. While the legal case is proceeding, I also heard Father Peter's call to action this week during Mass. And we do need to do everything that we can to address the serious flaws that we have in our country on how mental health is addressed and dealt with. The night before the fire, I attended our community's first ever interfaith Aptar at the community center, and it really was an incredible and amazing event. Our faith leaders from across our community discussed how the importance of fasting and religious life, and threaded together our shared values in the process. And then we all shared a very delicious meal together. It was really, for me, one of the most beautiful community events I have attended here in Verona. And I'm so thankful for all of our faith leaders in our community. Since I heard about the fire, I keep going back to the strength that I found in that room at the community center, and what I felt when I celebrated Mass this Sunday at OLL. We are a strong community, and for many, faith is an underpinning. Despite this violation to one of our religious spaces, we will move forward as a community to heal. Like my peers, I want to thank the Verona Police Department and the Verona Fire Department and all of our first responders and officials from the Essex County Prosecutor's Office for protecting our community and keep us safe. And I want to thank Father Peter for his leadership at Our Lady of the Lake. And I look forward to celebrating more with the OLL community when the church is reopened, which I hope is very soon. Moving on to the committees for which I'm liaison, the Multicultural Inclusion and Accessibility Advisory Committee met since our last meeting. They talked about how to make our events more accessible. They have set a date for the annual Pride flag raising and celebration, which will be on Saturday, June 8th at 11 a.m. They are planning an event for Older Americans Month at the Verona Public Library, and they have been asked to help with Sustainable Verona with a piece of their application, which relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Next week, the Shade Tree will be meeting at the community center at 5 p.m. And that's my report. Thank you.
Councilman Holland.
Yes, good evening. I will also acknowledge the deliberate damage that was done to OLL. It was very saddening to hear this of this arson so early in the morning. However, notwithstanding the damage to the church building, it is clearly not broken our community spirit, in particular the OLL spirit, but also so many in our community showing support for that faith community and religious institution. And so it's very clear that there's a tremendous amount of resilience, and that the church will be rebuilt, and that the community is not broken. And that is what's so very important. Speaking of mental health, I will change the subject to acknowledge that April is Autism Awareness Month. I think it's really important for us to recognize the illnesses that are not necessarily visible, and autism is certainly one of them. So April is an opportunity for us to raise awareness about this developmental disability, how it affects members in our community, children and adults. It really has no age or ethnic limitations. Everybody can be subject to autism or experience the symptoms or illness itself, or know people that are suffering from this. So I think it's so important for us to be inclusive as a community and really think about those with special needs. In particular, also, I want to recognize the work of the MIAC community and being so inclusive and bringing events that actually allow different individuals who are differently abled, I guess I shall say, to participate, in particular, like the Sensory Santa and some of the other events that have been hosted at our library facilities. Tomorrow is also Library Workers Recognition Day, so I do just want to acknowledge the amazing work of Claudine and all of our library staff for bringing some of these events to life. Without them, I don't think we would have such a rich number of occasions that we can attend. April is also Volunteer Recognition Month, and I think I would be remiss to fail to recognize the number of volunteers that help to make Verona work. So not only do we have our volunteer fire and rescue squad that were available to respond to the OLL emergency that has been referenced earlier this evening, but we have the number of advisory committees, the planning board, and other positions that really help to drive the work of this community and make the outcomes possible that really serve our residents. Volunteerism is at the heart of our community, and that does extend even beyond these township boards and committees and services into, recreation and all of the programs. We even just recently got outreach from PBSL indicating that they have over 500 kids in their program. That takes a tremendous amount of volunteer support. And so that's such an important thing for us to honor and recognize during the month of April. In addition, I will be joining, speaking of volunteerism, I will be joining representatives from Cedar Grove at the first joint flood advisory committee meeting later this month. We will also be holding a rec committee meeting where we will be discussing different aspects of the recreation program as well as the pool fees. The Verona Park Conservancy is holding a cleanup the same weekend as the Verona Environmental Commission is hosting their cleanup at Grove Park. So you have more than one opportunity for cleaning up our environment in late April. So I do encourage others to attend those events as well. So thank you. That concludes the report.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to open for public comments. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm going to open for public comment on any item that anybody would like to talk about. The same public comment statement applies. The public has not changed. Madam Clerk, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Anybody want to share? No.
I just want to say we missed pickleball.
No, you gotta come up.
Now you got it.
So say my name.
Just say your name.
Right here. Okay. Over here.
We want to raise that mic.
What is it?
You're doing a good job.
I probably want to raise that.
It's going great
Probably
so
want to
far.
raise the microphone.
Like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jamal.
Yeah.
Verona.
Give us your last name too.
Oh, Mahmood. Okay.
We all know it, but
Yeah, not one of the other, not Jamal Smith. I just want to say thanks to everybody for including pickleball in the budget. View on the docket about this, so I just want to say thank you on behalf of our contingent here, and we missed pickleball to come here, so that was a big thing. But anyway, no, thank you very much, appreciate it.
thank you.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Hearing none, I'm going to close public comment. Just one reply. In the meantime, before ours get built, remember that the Verona Park pickleball courts, Mr. Watt, I shared this with before. As soon as I got the news, I had to tell someone in the mayor's meeting with the county executive. They are putting pickleball courts there, so please use that. In addition, Deputy Mayor McAvoy and I were approached with an interesting proposition regarding pickleball as a shared service at a local university. We will share that with the manager to track down. It's another interesting idea as well. That could be a low-cost option for a lot of municipalities. We have many pickleball-related things in progress. My only request, Mr. Waka, is that you teach me how to play pickleball as soon as you put in.
Teach them.
You're a teacher, so you'll be patient.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other replies? No. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to hearing adoption or amendment of ordinances. Madam Clerk, the next item on the agenda is an ordinance on first reading, labeled H1. Madam Clerk, would you read the title of H1 into the record?
Planning to be located on 7 lot 10 in the Verona in the county of Essex. Created $50,000 therefore and authorizing the $47,500 or notes of the township to finance part of the cost.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody please move the ordinance?
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilman McGrath. Is there a second?
Second.
Second is made by Councilman Holland. Is there any discussion on ordinance H1?
I actually want to make a comment on this, and I actually think it should have been moved to new business. We have our policy now that ordinances go to new business to be discussed before they get put up for an ordinance. This is money I'm looking set aside. We have not gotten an updated plan. The only thing I've heard is that we're not doing turf, we're doing natural grass. But really, for purpose of financing preliminary planning expenses, it's not, I'd like an update on exactly what this money is being used for. I believe we've already allocated $30-something thousand towards design of this field. So I really thought this should be in new business rather than put up for an ordinance this quick. Not that I don't want this to get done. I am fully in favor of redoing Everett Field. I probably drive by it more than anyone in this room probably.
Okay, Mayor, the expenses incurred by our engineering firm for planning, which is already in motion. Those are all the reports and the meetings, et cetera, that we have to pay for. This is only for the planning. Kevin?
Right, this is the funding mechanism to pay the contract that was authorized for the that initial 35,000 and change, in that range for the concept plans. There are also additional expenses for a few.
None of the bills and planning have been paid. That's what.
So are you saying we're up to $85,000 already for this? We're past the 35.
Yeah, well, we have the engineering costs and there's been multiple meetings and the design changes and you have Millennium costs for grants in here.
Really would love this information before this gets put up as an ordinance for first reading. But it's already on.
Do you wish to make a motion to move it to new business, or are you okay with being heard now?
I would really like more detail on exactly what these expenses are. I thought $35,000 should cover. We had the only change that I've been told from the original plan was that it was going from artificial turf to natural grass. To me, that would greatly reduce the engineering of this plan because it drastically changes the stormwater management portion of it, which would be very detailed if it was artificial turf. So, I mean, I just think we're approving $85,000 total
No, if I may, Deputy Mayor, you're approving 50,000.
We're approving 50, but we've
And-
spent,
There's been multiple meetings and the council is aware of all the meetings that we've had. There were meetings in the field with the engineer, with the shade tree, environmental. We've had multiple meetings on this project, and every time recommendations came in from either the public or the council, we, needless to say, those assignments went to the engineer for redrafting and redesigning and meetings in the field. This project has been very time consuming, and it's not 85,000, it's 50,000.
I understand, but we're saying here that there's been many changes. As you get it, you look at stuff in the field, things are changed, but we as a council have not seen any of these changes. The only plan I've ever seen was the initial plan.
If it's the desire to move it, well, we'll get a detailed breakdown, which is already on file. We'll get the detailed breakdown for the council and we'll move.
I believe we have a motion pending.
We do have a motion.
Yeah.
We're in discussion on the motion. Is there any other discussion? Councilman McGrath?
Just that, I mean, with these types of funding mechanisms, we don't. Yes, our process is to put ordinances in new business, but is for the funding mechanisms, they do sometimes just appear on, and for that, I'm comfortable. This is just to introduce. I think these are good questions that the deputy mayor has, and we can get the further detail for when we vote, on final passage. So I'm in support of moving forward with introduction.
The comments? I appreciate, I tend to agree with Deputy Mayor McAvoy that it would be helpful to know what exactly we're spending the $50,000 on, what we spent $55,000 on. But I also agree with Councilman McGrath's point that we can see that in between. So I'm inclined to permit this at this point on first reading, with the proviso that we get the information that's been requested.
I would agree with that.
If we don't, then we'll be back to square one at first reading at the next, after the next meeting. So, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland. Yes. Councilwoman McGrath.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Yes.
Mayor Tamburro.
Yes.
Mayor H1 will read up 2024-16. It will be published according to law, and a public hearing will be held on May 6th.
Clerk, the next item on.
If I may.
Mr. McAvoy. Look forward to that. I love detailed reports. Actually, Mr. O'Sullivan's and one's about sludge. The next item on the agenda is labeled ordinance H2. Madam Clerk, please read the title of ordinance H2 into the record for first reading.
An ordinance to amend chapter 8565, schedule of fees of the township code by creating section 9 zoning fees.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Will somebody please move the ordinance? So moved. Motion made by the deputy mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second's made by Councilman McGrath. Is there any discussion on this motion? I'll just make one comment. I appreciate the administration inserting the delayed date change. I think it'll go a long way for us communicating that we need to make sure that we have our zoning office in full working order before we start charging fees for the use of our zoning office. And I have a lot of confidence in our zoning officer, who's done a great job in other work that she's done, and look forward to seeing that continue.
Mayor, if I may, your zoning office staff is fully staffed and functional at this point.
That is excellent. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Yes.
Mayor Tamburro.
Yes.
Mayor H2 will be number 2024-17. It will be published according to law. The public hearing will be held on May 6th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is an ordinance on first reading labeled H3. Madam Clerk, could you please read the title of this into the record?
In ordinance to amend chapter A 565-1 fees of the Code of the Township of Verona by amending plenary retail consumption and plenary retail distribution license fees.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Will somebody please move the ordinance?
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilman McGrath. I'll second the motion. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman,
Yes,
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes,
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor H3 will be, 2024-18 will be published according to law. A public hearing will be held on March 6th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We are moving on to the consent agenda. This evening, there are several resolutions for reminder to the public, if anybody downloaded the document earlier. Resolutions 6 and 7 have been stricken by the administration and are being replaced on an addendum. We have 2 sets of minutes, 9 ordinances, no licenses or permits. Councilman McGrath.
yes, Mayor, I request that we remove what was K8, the contract with the Cougars from consent agenda, please.
Okay. They'd like to move resolutions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, and 11. And the 2 sets of minutes, J1 and J2.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Silence is happening. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. At this time, I'll open for public comment on the consent agenda only. The same public comment statement applies. Being no public comment on the consent agenda, I'll open for council discussion. The chair recognizes Councilman.
Thank you. I have a bunch of little observations. So the dates are slightly different from K1 to K2. This is a question for our administration. So we're appointing the deputy registrar from 24 to 27, but then the backup is from 24 to 26. Was that intentional?
I'm sorry, it is the regular registrar. The names are correct in the body
Okay,
of each resolution.
okay. So the first one is you're correct. So the first one's the registrar. So my question is on the second resolution, the date only goes to March 31st, 26. Was it intentional? That was a shorter term than the term that's listed in K1.
Yes, that is pursuant to statute, what I put. 26(8)(17) for the deputy registrar is a 2-year term.
It's a 2-year term. Okay, that was my question. Thank you. Then I think I saw a date on K6. It says here, oh, did we pull that one?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay, we got that then. Then my next point is on the pool rules. And I raised with the administration this afternoon, just one concern I had on rule A6. So do you have a new wording?
I did not get a response back to that. I sent it over to the superintendent.
Okay. So can we still pass this if for the rest of the council on A6, it says membership in the Verona community pool is limited to Verona residents only. Per our conversations about the fees for our first responders, non-Verona residents who are first responders who qualify for the free pool membership can join the pool. So this statement is not.
I've asked Dave to send over language that you would recommend.
I think we
We
could
can
just,
certainly add clarifying language to that says, except for some members of the first responders.
I think we could just do that here.
Yeah, that would just be clarifying language. That wouldn't actually be changed to anything, even though it's only a resolution in any event.
Yeah.
So consider that then I'll work with the administration to make sure the resolution probably has that phrase.
Thank you, Mr. White.
And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman McGrath. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for sharing that we discussed earlier. Any other comments, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I just have one comment on K9 pool rules. I know this came up when we were going through this, it might have even been last year. And nothing needs to change now, but in the future, I'm gonna put it in everybody's head. Just to kind of group them together a little better so that all the rules like pertaining to children are all in one area, and the bathrooms, like I just circled them all, like 14, 15, and then it jumps to 31. And then undressing is printed only in the locker room. Just for clarity, I just want to put in people's heads to next time we go through this to maybe adjust.
Deputy Mayor, Councilman Holland.
Thank you. I would just add with regard to the pool rules, I understand that this has been done previously, and I understand that the pool rules are an improvement from prior iterations. However, I do think it's important to have a comprehensive package. So part of the challenge is that, we're asked to approve rates and other aspects of the pool, and then separately we're approving the pool rules and like this kind of like incremental process. I think it should all really be presented together and that would help to contribute toward this being a more strategic approach to the pool going forward. That way, it's just we have one meeting where it would be all of the pool related items addressed. I mean, obviously, if you have ordinances, there would be a second reading as well, but that I think would be very helpful to get like kind of a comprehensive package. So thank you. I will support it this evening, but I do think that we could do this better next year.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments? Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yeah. Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, resolutions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11 will be numbered 64 through 71.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And at this point, would somebody like to move resolution K8? I'll move resolution K8 just so we can talk about it. Is there a second?
I'll second it so we can talk.
That we can talk about it.
Because we need to talk.
I will open for public comments on resolution K8 only. The same public comment statement applies. Seeing no public comment on resolution K8, so public comment. Councilman McGrath, would you like to address this?
Yes, so we have been receiving quite a few emails questioning the rates that we're charging our Verona nonprofits for pre-season pool parties. And I applaud our residents for really digging into the numbers. That's an important part of being an engaged citizen and resident. And so they are asking some really good questions. And that resident then appropriately kind of looked at this fee that we are charging for a nonprofit external to Verona and is questioning, one, why is the fee not rising? And two, what is the math behind this fee as compared to what we're charging our nonprofits? And frankly, I have the same questions. So I would like to table this resolution for this evening to give the administration time to get back to us with a comprehensive response to this fee versus the other fees that are being discussed.
Deputy Mayor.
I would just like to echo that I am in 100% agreement with that. I think it was this resident that was one resident that was emailing us that I know of definitely put up a very good case, and I would like to see better numbers on this and see what the reason is why we're charging residents and Verona nonprofits the rates, as Councilwoman McGrath said, the rates that we're charging them versus a private company group like this. So I'm in agreement with that.
Thank you. Mr. Diorfa, do you have any comment? No objection.
No, we'll be working on that.
Tabling this would not create a problem with the contract.
We need a motion.
We'll try that.
Well, we need a motion to table the original motion.
I would make that motion to table.
The motion is made to table. Is there a second?
I will second.
Second, this is a non-debatable motion. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? The motion is tabled. Okay, we are concluding with our resolutions. We do have one addendum. Well, actually, we have 3 addendum items this evening. I'm going to propose these as a package addendum like we would with the consent agenda. Somebody would like to move items M1, M2, and M3.
So moved.
Motion's made by the deputy mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second is made by Councilman McGrath. This time I'll open for public comment on the agenda items only. The same public comment statement applies. You guys sure? You don't want to? We're fortunate to have somebody in the gallery before. Hearing no public comment, I will close public comment. Is there any council discussion on any of these items? Just for the note of the public, there were several extensive memoranda provided related to these items from our deputy township manager. So we did have some background on these items. Hearing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor M1 through M3 will be number 72, 73, and 74.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And at this time, it is our time for new business. I just want to bring one point up on our budget hearing today. We approved the submission of the budget to the state, which had a draft capital plan. Noting items, and I think that the administration did some good work with prioritizing certain items. I did vote on the capital idea because that doesn't encumber us to the money. But I do just want for the public's edification, everybody to understand that as these items come before us, we'll have more substantial discussions on these items. And what my thought is, Mr. Diarco, if we can, at our May meeting, is to have a more robust conversation on what you're proposing for this year for capital. And if there's anything a council member is concerned about, we could approach it at that time versus when the ordinances come up for discussion. But I didn't think it was super productive to piecemeal things during the budget discussion because we're not encumbered to actually spend this money at this point. But there was some good detail there, and I encourage members of the public to look at that detail contained. It's unfortunately buried in like page 100 of the budget worksheet. But I think we need to have a good strategic conversation about what we're doing. There are a couple items that I think we might be able to creatively find other things for. Between now and then, I will share my thoughts with the administration. I hope my council colleagues will do the same, so that they can be prepared for the May meeting. But I'd like everything on the table, if possible. My thought is if any council member is concerned about a particular item, we invite that so they can be there at the meeting, discuss it. If there are concerns on an item, we don't necessarily need to invite them. That's that. Okay, with everybody. Okay. So we have a little homework, Councilwoman.
Well, I already did that piece and met with the town manager and the deputy town manager over concerns I had. So I will just go back to my notes and reiterate what our conversation was. So thank you.
Okay. Any further new business? We are going into executive session this evening. We're taking any official action. Before we go into executive session, as always, we'll have one last public comment. The public has been very active this evening, so we will give one more opportunity for that public comment. The same public comment statement applies. You have a hand. You have a hand up. Excellent. All right. Mr. Coleman?
Yes, thank you for your time. I've
Hold
been
on
a
1 second. I'm trouble hearing you on our end. Give you all the time you need. Just try again.
Can you hear me now?
No, it's that speaker,
Yeah, there's,
the volume.
is it on?
I'll try
It
to.
is. There's sound coming out of there, but it's just the volume isn't as high as her.
Microphone. There's no volume.
Is
I
this
feel
better
a-
now?
Mr. Coleman, is your volume up?
I will try to adjust my volume.
Yes. Crazy.
It might be a setting on the laptop that's connected to that.
I put my
You know,
I'm trying to adjust it. Can you hear me?
we can, you're very faint, unfortunately.
Just be.
We might need to interpret
Yeah, more quiet.
I'm speaking in more closely. Is this better?
No, not really. Well, we're all going to be very quiet and we will try to hear you and we'll try to repeat back what you say. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Well, I'll do my best to speak as loudly as I can. I've been a resident of Verona for 10 years now, almost exactly to the date. Really enjoy living in this community. The one thing I've just not gotten used to is the Verona emergency horn. And I understand there have been several reasons explained to me why we have this emergency horn, that volunteers would not respond to calls from their phones or their cell phones. And so we need the horn to alert them. I just find that a little bit difficult to adjust to. It's a big annoyance, and I understand there are a lot of other communities here in New Jersey that do not have this daily, sometimes numerous times in a day, interruptions to the peace and quiet. So I would like to ask, what can we do to find a way to replace this very archaic form of communication? I would love to hear thoughts on that regard.
Conclusion of your comments, sir?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Hearing none, I will close public comment. I am happy to respond to this. Yeah. So the horn is something that we hear about quite often. Mr. Diarco is holding his head. I just want to provide some information on the horn. It blows at 6 o'clock as a test to make sure it works. And in addition, the horn is used for fire emergencies, which are about 300 times a year. And then it is used for second calls for the rescue squad only. The rescue squad answers about 1,400 calls a year. It is only blown if there is a second request. So for some reason, 2 people didn't call out for the rescue squad call that they're responding, or that there is a simultaneous or multiple simultaneous emergencies, or something that requires additional manpower, like a cardiac arrest event or something like that. The township has invested in infrastructure related to digital radios and also analog radio pagers to alert. In addition, the emergency services use a tool called e-dispatch, which is a tool that takes the analog page and alerts by text message and also reporting that page out to the members of the fire department, the rescue squad. Unfortunately, there are times at which none of those technologies work at the same time. That's why a lot of the horns exist. Fortunately, those times are minimal. The state system is not always under our control. The analog system is more under our control. Sometimes those systems don't speak to each other. Chief Christopher Kiernan is on the call and he can attest to this. And we can tell some stories about that, but he does a great job managing this. As a member of the council, I feel that there is some room for the emergency services to revise the use of this device. And I have made that clear in my opinions to the emergency services. However, at the same time, like we do with a lot of decisions involving the emergency services, because there's only one of us at the dais who's actually an expert in this area, we do generally leave the decisions on those items to the chiefs of those emergency services. I'm going to ask Chief Kiernan, OEM Coordinator Martin, Township Manager Diarco, perhaps get a working group back together to discuss the status of the horn. It is a matter of significant concern in the emergency services. I can attest despite my feeling that there is some room to revise its use, there have been times that I would have only known that an emergency is happening and been able to respond to it with the horn blowing. That being said, its use has significantly declined since I started. When I moved here, there was a box system that the horn would blow number of times equal to the grid of the address. So it could blow 18 times 3. We don't do it that anymore. The fire department blows 212, I think, twice. Rescue squad, I believe, is 3-3. So its use has even gone down. But I think at this point, now that the technology, we're understanding its benefits and limitations, it would be an appropriate time to reconsider that, especially as we're looking toward building a new building as well. Conversation. Is that okay with you, Mr. Diarco?
Understood.
To maybe have that conversation. Any other council members have any thoughts on that?
I will just to confirm. I am one that grew up in Verona, so I've been here my entire life. I know growing up, when there was a fire, and back in the day when they had the fire boxes on the telephone poles, if that box was pulled, the horn would go off. The number was 157, it would go off 157 times, and it would do it 3 times. I think the rescue squad used to be 7 blasts 3 times also. So we've had this come up, as the mayor said, numerous times, and we've revised the amount of times it's being used. And I do think we're really at the minimum that we can set it off. But obviously, as the mayor said, we leave it to the professionals and see what they say. I do wonder if it came into play the other night at 3:30 in the morning when the fire department was called for the incident at Our Lady of Light Church. So again, middle of the night, someone could be woken up by it and not by their phones. So all I really have to add to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, at this time, we have already made a motion to go, we have passed a resolution to go into executive session. We will do so at this time. There'll be no official action taken. We'll see you in May. Have a good evening.